Alright, I'm gonna start this off by, hey, I was doing a little reading in my DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and I wanted to make a little video on Narcissistic Personality Disorder just because myself fell victim to thinking others as being narcs, as they say, and into my reading, I come to the conclusion that I have some of these tendencies. So take it with a grain of salt. But this is how they diagnose it. Narcissism. It's a word we throw around constantly online in arguments, in pop psychology videos, but behind the memes and the labels is a real clinical disorder with a complex psychological profile, a long developmental arc, and a profound impact on relationships, identity, and mental health. Today, we're going to break down narcissistic personality disorder, what it actually is, how it develops, how it differs from other disorders, and why it's far more complicated than simply someone who loves themselves. This is a deep dive into the science, the symptoms, the psychology, and the lived reality of NPD. Chapter 1. What narcissistic personality disorder actually is. Clinically, narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, is defined as a long-standing pattern of grandiosity, need for admiration, and lack of empathy. But those three words barely scratch the surface. People with NPD often live in a psychological world built around a fragile and unstable sense of self. On the outside, they may appear confident, charismatic, or even superior. But internally, their self-esteem is brittle, easily threatened, and easily shattered. To meet diagnostic criteria, a person must show at least 5 of several characteristic traits. These include an exaggerated sense of self-importance, fantasies of unlimited success, power, beauty, or ideal love, belief that they are special and can only be understood by high-status people, a constant need for admiration, a sense of entitlement, exploitative behavior, lack of empathy, envy of others, or belief that others envy them, arrogant or haughty behavior. But these traits don't exist in isolation. They form a pattern, a way of relating to the world that begins in early adulthood and shows up across many areas of life. Chapter 2. The psychology behind the disorder. Let's go deeper into what these traits actually look like. Grandiosity. People with NPD often overestimate their abilities and achievements. They may genuinely believe they are exceptional, even when evidence doesn't support it. This isn't simple bragging, it's a distorted self-image that they rely on to feel stable. Fantasies of greatness. Many spend a lot of time imagining success, power, fame, or perfect love. These fantasies aren't harmless daydreams, they're psychological fuel. They help maintain the illusion of superiority when reality doesn't match their expectations. The special and unique belief. Individuals with NPD often feel they can only be understood by people who are equally exceptional. They may seek out high-status professionals, elite institutions, or people they idealize. If someone fails to meet their expectations, they may quickly devalue them. The need for admiration. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects. People with NPD don't just want admiration, they depend on it. Their self-esteem is unstable, and admiration acts like a temporary stabilizer. Entitlement and exploitation. Because they believe they are exceptional, they may expect special treatment. This can lead to taking advantage of others, sometimes intentionally, sometimes without awareness. Lack of empathy. This doesn't always mean they can't understand others' feelings. Many have cognitive empathy. They can intellectually grasp what someone feels, but emotional empathy, the ability to care about those feelings, is often impaired. Chapter 3. The hidden vulnerability. One of the most important things to understand about NPD is the deep vulnerability beneath the surface. People with NPD are extremely sensitive to criticism, rejection, or failure. Even mild feedback can trigger intense shame, humiliation, or rage. This can lead to defensive anger, withdrawal, blaming others, sudden devaluation of people they once idealized. Some may appear humble or self-effacing after a setback, but this can be a protective mask, an attempt to shield the fragile self from further injury. Perfectionism. Many individuals with NPD set impossibly high standards for themselves, not out of ambition, but out of fear. Fear of being exposed as imperfect, fear of failure, fear of being ordinary. This perfectionism can lead to avoiding challenges, procrastination, low vocational functioning, emotional collapse under pressure. Chapter 4. Prevalence and Development. How common is NPD? Estimates vary widely. Some studies find almost no cases, others find rates above 6%. A review of multiple studies suggests a median prevalence of around 1.6%, with I believe 4 of those studies were in the United States, and the other was conducted elsewhere. I don't know where, according to that DSM. Development. Narcissistic traits are common in adolescence. This is normal, but most teens grow out of it. NPD tends to emerge or intensify in adulthood, especially during major stress, career setbacks, relationship failures, situations that threaten self-esteem. Chapter 5. Culture, Gender, and Social Context. Culture. Individualistic cultures like the United States tend to reward self-promotion, independence, and personal achievement. In these environments, narcissistic traits may be more common and less impairing. Collectivistic cultures, which emphasize community and interdependence, may view these traits as more problematic. Gender. Among adults diagnosed with NPD, 50 to 75% are men. Men with NPD often show stronger stress reactivity, more impaired empathy. Women with NPD may show more self-focus and more withdrawal. Cultural expectations around gender likely shape how the disorder appears. Chapter 6. Suicidality and Emotional Risk. Under severe stress, individuals with NPD may experience intense shame, fear of failure, or emotional overwhelm. This can lead to suicidal thoughts. Research suggests that suicide attempts in NPD tend to be less impulsive, more planned, and higher in lethality. This reflects the perfectionism and fear of humiliation that often accompany the disorder. Chapter 7. Differential Diagnosis. NPD can resemble several other disorders, but key differences help distinguish it. Borderline personality disorder compared to NPD. Borderline. Emotional instability, fear of abandonment, self-destructive behavior. NPD. More stable self-image, less impulsivity, and more grandiosity. Histrionic personality disorder compared to NPD. Histrionic, emotionality, dramatic behavior. NPD. Less emotional display, more focus on admiration and superiority. Antisocial personality disorder compared to NPD. Both can be exploitative, while antisocial personality disorder results in more deceitfulness, aggression, and criminal behavior, while NPD results in exploitation rooted in entitlement, not thrill-seeking or disregard for rules. Obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. OCPD, or OCD, I believe it's more commonly known as, results in more perfectionism tied to order and control, while NPD results in perfectionism tied to appearance and fear of imperfection. Mood disorders. Mania can cause temporary grandiosity, but it's episodic, not a stable personality pattern. Chapter 8, Comorbidity. NPD often co-occurs with major depressive disorder, persistent depressive disorder, substance use disorders, especially cocaine, eating disorders like anorexia nervosa, other personality disorders including histrionic, borderline, antisocial, and paranoid. These combinations can complicate diagnoses and treatment. Conclusion. Narcissistic personality disorder is far more than arrogance or self-love. It's a complex psychological condition shaped by vulnerability, fear, and unstable self-esteem. Understanding NPD doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it does help us see the full picture. Behind the grandiosity is often a person struggling to maintain a sense of worth in a world that constantly threatens to expose their deepest insecurities. If we want to understand narcissism, we have to look beyond the stereotype and into the psychology beneath it. Thank you. If you fear that you may be victim to this, seek medical advice and medical professionals. Don't try to self-diagnose or self-treat, self-medicate. You may be wrong, I think depending on what you're going through, a lot of these traits, and qualities can happen even in people that don't have this at all. I would like to state that it's very tied to major depressive disorder or major depressive episodes. They're very similar, one and the same almost, except that narcissistic personality disorder persists on and on and on and on. I think the first step to helping yourself in any way is recognizing that you may have this or you may know someone that has this. I think also that people with NPD happen to be the biggest gaslighters that you'll ever meet. And you may, if you live with one, you may think that you have it because they gaslit you into thinking that. You know what I mean? So, hey, follow, all that mumbo jumbo, but everybody be safe, and everybody be kind, and everybody love each other. God bless, and adios.